Rev up your engines!
That's what dude said. Scotty, does it tick you off that so many new cars don't come with a spare tire or standard equipment? Yeah, of course, it ticked me off enough back in the day when it went from a regular tire that fit on your car to one of those mini spares with the tiny little wheels that says do not drive more than 55 miles an hour on these things. That annoyed me too. It's not that much weight. You get maybe, what, 1/100th of a mile a gallon better gas mileage, if that, by not having a spare tire. Why are they doing it? Because it's cheaper to make the cars that way. That is why. It's just cheaper. If they could make them with 3 wheels instead of 4, heck, they do that too. It's just because they want to be cheap. In the day when they went from regular spares to those stupid mini donut spares, hey, I go to a junkyard, I buy a spare rim, and I put one of my old tires on that and put it in the trunk. Because I like having a real spare tire. That's what I did with my Celica. It's got a real spare tire in the back that I got in the junkyard. I can't stand that stuff. It's total nonsense. But they just want to make things cheap these days and rip everybody off. That's just how it goes. They want to make them less and charge more for them. Peanuts Head Seagull says, Scotty, what would be better vehicle tone over a long period of time, more affordable? 2019 Chevy Equinox 1.5 turbo or 2019 Ford Edge SEL 2.0 turbocharged EcoBoost. I definitely go with a Ford on that. Chevy makes a bunch of garbage lately, and especially their little bitty small engines that are turbocharged, they just don't hold up. The turbochargers break, and being modern GM product as they age, they often have transmission problems, electronic problems. I definitely go on the Ford on that one, hands down. Michael J17 says, Scotty, I'm thinking about buying an '09 Ford F-150 with 23,000 miles for $12,400. Any thoughts as a 4.6 liter V8? One, you want to absolutely positively have proof that it really only has 23,000 miles on it. It is 11 years old, but 23,000 miles is nothing on one of those things. You're never going to find another one like that if they can absolutely positively tell you that's the real mileage. And if it is, go ahead and buy it, because you're never going to find another one with low mileage like that. That's almost impossible to find. People buy trucks, they drive the heck out of them, put a lot of mileage. Somebody didn't, maybe it's an older guy. Go ahead and buy it if they can prove that's the real mileage. But do try to get it a little bit lower. Jay Bates says, my girlfriend has an '01 Jeep Grand Cherokee, 175,000 miles. Sometimes it loses powers and shut off and it won't even light up. You watch the voltmeter start at 14 and drop, but sometimes it goes days without stalling. Guy said it was a crank sensor, and it still does it after replace it. There are zillions of reasons a vehicle can die out on you. When you don't see anything, it's a loss of power. And sometimes it's as stupid as you got a loose battery cable. Check them. Make sure they're tight. The ground terminal of the battery, the negative one, check that and follow it down to see where it bolts onto the engine and the frame. If it gets loose on the other end or it gets corroded, then you lose power. Now, if it's not that and you're not having any power, it could be the ignition switch going out too. That's another common thing. If the ignition switch isn't sending power through, it can do that. And Jeeps are notorious for wearing out. When that one's, hey, it's 19 years old, things do wear out. I checked that too, but it certainly seems like something electrical that's doing it. Damo Riff says, I got a Lexus 2000 ES 300, been sitting a while. I was told I need a crankshaft sensor, but it would cut off after running. I tried to start it, nothing worked, not even a dashboard. Charge up the battery or just replace it. If it sits for a long time, the batteries just go bad. If your battery's more than 3-4 years old, just go replace it. If it's less, charge it up and see what happens. That's often what it is. Now, I know about people telling you need a crankshaft sensor. I have never ever seen a crankshaft sensor go bad in one of those things, ever. And I've been working on those things since they started selling them. I have never had to replace them, so I find that odd that it would need a crank sensor. Now, as old as it is, the timing belt might be stretched and it might need a new timing belt. And yeah, then it'll have problems starting if the timing belt is stretched so much that the cam timing is off. I've seen that happen with a car like that, which is 20 years old. But I've never seen a crank sensor ever go bad on one of those things. So I'd be kind of leery about that guy. I'd go somewhere else. Brian Caddy Fleetwood says, my 94 Cadillac Fleetwood Brougham, the rear tire is wobbling. The fender skirt is starting to eat to the tire. I have 22s on it. Is it my wheel bearings I need to replace? Now, if you got 22-inch rims, that thing wasn't made for that. They are too big for the vehicle. But, make sure that the wheel isn't bent and wobbling, and make sure the wheel bearing is going up. But if you put 22-inch tires on that car was not made for those tires. The tires are too big, and that will wear the tire out. It'll only make it wobble if the tire keeps hitting something and bends the rim, but that can happen. I mean, it could be a bent rim, but if the rim's bent, generally there's a reason. If you got 22 inches on that vehicle that wasn't made for that, that, then it's going to hit stuff, and then that can bend the rim. So if I were you, I would go back to smaller tire size. I would not use that big of a tire on it. It's too big for that vehicle. Joe Lush says, Scotty, I'm considering a used car from Enterprise, 2018 Hyundai Tucson automatic, $17,000 for 34,000 miles, 10-year warranty and a good track record with long-term customer friends. Has me interested. Any comments? I don't know what you mean by long-term customer friends. Yeah, I'd pay less. They'll never accept less. That's the problem. They always ask too much money. But if it was just a straight-up rental car, people beat the heck out of it. When I drive a rental car, I drive over things. I bump over things. Drive like a maniac if I'm in a hurry. They don't maintain them very well. Sometimes they forget to change the oil. I've rented many cars that had the oil change light on them because they hadn't changed them when they were supposed to. And they're certainly never going to change the oil early. They might change the oil every 12,000 miles or something. If it was a leased car, you might think about it. But like I say, 17 grand is too much for a car with 34,000 miles on it, especially a Hyundai. They're not, this was a Toyota, sure, jump on it. But a Hyundai, yeah, I wouldn't pay that kind of money for that. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.